Hi, friends.
Hi.
How you doing?
Good, good. Sorry, I've got the camera on.
Take your time. We'll give everybody a little while to get settled
Hi.
in. Hi, Anna. Is it just you today? Is your mom going to be joining us?
No, Mom is joining me too. She's just kind of running
Yay.
up and down the stairs doing some random things.
I'm familiar with those calisthenics of running around the house. I'm glad you'll both
Yeah.
be here. You are in part responsible for the text that we are exploring this week. So, big mystery
Ooh.
placeholder. I'll explain soon.
Yeah.
Hey, Magnolia. So as soon as everybody jumps on, you have the option to turn on your camera and your microphone if you like. You don't have to. It's nice to be able to see everybody's beautiful faces though. And this week is going to be a little bit of an experiment. I have switched up our platforms off of PowerPoint and onto Google Slides. And as you all know, technology is not my strong suit. So I thought we could do a little test run before everybody else jumps in. Can you guys see my first slide? Looking good?
Yeah.
Okay, yay. Fingers crossed it stays this way. All right, I'll turn it off for now and admit everybody. Hi, Julie. How you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Wonderful. It's good to see you.
Yeah. I heard about this through the narrative medicine program at Columbia, so I'm kind of intrigued.
Wonderful. Ooh, are you in the Columbia Narrative Medicine program right now?
I am.
Wonderful. I'm so going to put you on the spot a couple of times today just to share your
I
experience
mean,
with
I'm
narrative medicine.
not.
You don't have to. Never any obligation to
Okay.
respond, but I'd love
No,
to hear
I'm
about
having a great time. I'd be happy to.
Wonderful. What class are you in right now?
Creative writing.
Oh, that was one of my favorites. Who's teaching it?
The teacher is Nellie, and then Lynn is the TA.
Lucky, lucky, lucky.
Yeah.
Nellie, we actually use a chapter from Nellie Herman's. Well, it's a chapter from, the narrative medicine text, Methods in Practice, the one that Nellie Herman wrote on creativity in our 9-week course. And it is always such a hit. You're so lucky to be working with her. She's great.
Yeah.
Annalise, darling, are you there? It's so good to see you. Can you turn on your camera? Hi, welcome.
Hi, sorry, I was just getting set up.
It's such a pleasure to meet you in person.
It's so nice to meet you too. I'm really excited to be here.
Yeah, I'm really, so Annalise, do you mind telling the others in the group what you're studying right now?
Yeah, right now I'm studying linguistics and French, and I'm at the University of North Texas in my undergraduate program, so I'm just getting started.
Amazing. I know you're going to have so much to contribute here.
Thank you.
So we're going to give everybody just another few minutes to jump in. Did I hear Catherine in the background?
Hi.
Hey, Catherine. How
Hi,
you doing?
Julia.
Welcome, everybody. Magnolia, how you doing, honey?
Hi, good,
Hi.
good.
Good. This is your first class. I'm so excited for you to experience this with us. I just saw your wonderful husband today. He always just brings so much joy when he comes over into the house.
We're excited.
Magnolia is my kind of sister-in-law. I think we count as sisters-in-law, right? Yeah. All right, so I'm gonna share my screen, and we'll hope that other participants jump in, but we'll give them just a couple of minutes to arrive. In the meantime, I know everybody at this point is familiar with how Zoom works. We have a smaller group today, which is lovely. We'll have a really intimate, close reading session together. But just in case you don't know, you can turn your mic off when you're not speaking, just to keep background noise at a minimum. We will be talking in person today rather than using the chat box since we have a smaller group. You can use the raise hand function, but you won't need to. You can just jump in whenever you feel it's appropriate. I'm sure everybody has done this whole crazy Zoom thing for a few months now, but does anybody have any questions about our classroom before we get started? No? Okay. Wonderful. I'm using a little bit of a different medium today, a different platform, so apologies in advance for any tech conundrums we come into. Hopefully we won't have any today. All right, let's go ahead and get jamming. I'll let people in as they jump in. I know we had 2 or 3 others who wanted to join. Hopefully they'll get in here soon. So welcome to our Healing Arts Workshop. We're going to be discussing some artwork today, but really what we're practicing is called narrative medicine. And usually I give a spiel about what narrative medicine is and what it means to me, but I thought maybe today I'd let some of the long-standing participants of this class share a little bit about their experiences. I know I'm putting you guys on the spot, Catherine and Anna, but do you have a working definition of what narrative medicine is or how it applies to healthcare or just to your lives? I think you guys
Sorry,
are on
Julia, our internet was a little bit shaky there. Were you talking to us or in general?
Yes. Oh, I'm sorry. Yes. I'm talking to you guys specifically because you have been coming to these workshops for, oh gosh, a year now? Somewhere
Yeah,
around?
since January, yeah.
Yeah. So I thought you guys might have a really interesting working definition of what narrative medicine is. And if that makes you uncomfortable to answer, you can just let me know and I'll take over.
You can go first.
I mean, well, being a medical practitioner and having done these workshops and also just finished the bridge course, the definition, I think, or your definition, Julia, is kind of using the arts and humanities. Well, my definition would be from yours that using the close reading and reflective writing based on close reading of various literature, poetry, art in various forms, performance, visual art, these kind of things, video, to kind of attune us better to kind of hear the stories of our patients, and we can extend that into our lives, to our families, our friends, to just hear their stories better and be more attentive listeners, I guess.
That's a fantastic definition. I couldn't have done it better. And I think Anna, please go ahead.
No, Anna, you go next.
No, you're right.
Well, that was my aim, really, when I started this course, and particularly when I started doing the narrative, the bridge, and I definitely think it has, had an impact, not just on work, but on, my everyday dealings with individuals as well. So it's very worthwhile and highly recommended.
Thank you so much, Catherine. That was wonderful. Anna, in case you guys can't tell, Catherine and Anna are a mother-daughter dynamic duo. And Anna is not in healthcare, but she has a lot of interest in the arts, and I think probably in healthcare too. But I'd love to hear, Anna, your perspective on what narrative medicine is just on a personal level, because there are others here who don't work in healthcare.
I think, yeah, it's definitely on the spot, and I'm very bad at explaining things when I'm on the spot, but I'll try my best to think about what it is now. But I think, to join kind of arts and medicine in this case together, I think it kind of unifies them in a way that they've always meant to be all along, kind of thing. Because I think, you can get stuck on the modern medicine view, and it can be very black and white, but then obviously in art it's multicolored. So it adds the two kind of, I think they do nothing but help each other anyway. I think especially if you're talking about, if you bring humans into both subjects, it's a common humanity, as one said. If anything with humans in it, it becomes complex anyway, and there's a lot of dimensions to it both when you put them together. So something like that.
That's perfect. Thank you so much. And you used a word that we are going to be talking a lot about today. It's kind of our theme of the day. Use the word multicolored. And
Yeah, I thought so.
text
How'd
today
you know?
is
Oh, I
in
like that
part
word.
an homage to you, Anna, who in our 9-week course had a fabulous meditation on a color. Do you remember that?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So today we're going to be doing something similar. And as Anna and Catherine were just describing, what we're really studying here is an intersubjective space. There's one other person who's joining our class right now, so I'm just going to admit her really quickly. Hello, Krista. Welcome. Can you hear us?
Yes.
Oh, wonderful. Welcome. So we were just hearing a fantastic working definition of narrative medicine from Anna and Catherine. And we were just talking a little bit about what we're going to be up to today when it comes to what Anna called this multicolored perspective. So in narrative medicine, we really study what we call the intersubjective space, which is the space between a storyteller and a listener, where things are dynamic and fluid and capable of change. And this is where stories really move and grow and can often break us out of familiar molds and models that we thought our stories already fit into. This applies in healthcare and in our personal lives. And as Catherine was saying, a lot of times when we study this in a healthcare setting, we realize how it bleeds over into our family life, the way that we talk with our friends. So I'm hoping you guys can get this intersubjective experience today in our study of John Christie and John Berger. So we're going to be looking at a text today, which is really just a letter exchange between these two men. What a perfect opportunity to discuss the intersubjective space through letters. I am breaking my moratorium on old white guys by studying these two today. Usually we do not study old white guys, except in the honorary case of Tony Hoagland, who's a favorite of mine. But today we're going to be looking at John Christie and John Berger, who were very good friends, and they had an epistolary relationship where they sent letters back and forth. They were both Brits. One of them lived in France, and they're both highly invested in the arts. As you can see, John Christie is a broadcast filmmaker and a visual artist. Here's one of his paintings just below him there. You can see that he is a big fan of bold colors and strong shapes. And then John Berger is an art critic, a novelist, and a painter. He was described as Susan Sontag as peerless in his ability to make attentiveness to the sensual world meet the imperatives of conscience. His novel G won the 1972 Booker Prize, and his essay on art criticism called Ways of Seeing, which you may have heard of, is often used as a university text. He was interested in artistic reality, which is something I think you'll see in the letter exchange that we'll be reading today. He was interested in the real politics and the conditions of existence that inform and give rise to an artwork. This is one of my favorite Berger quotes: "If I'm a storyteller, it's because I listen." If there could be a tagline for narrative medicine, to me, that would be it. Good listening is good storytelling. Here's his little drawing of a bicycle down here. So he was also an artist in his own right, but primarily an art critic. So here we have a painter and an art critic who also dabbles in the arts, having conversations about art. In this book, I Send You This Cadmium Red. This was first recommended to me by a mentor of mine in the massage world, who has a very unique interest in this book that I'll describe to you later when we get closer to our reflective writing. But I've fallen in love with it, and really this whole workshop is just my easy way of roping you guys into talking about it with me, because I've been fascinated by it since I started reading. The book starts with this swatch of color, this cadmium red that Christie sends to Berger, along with this letter. Can I have a volunteer read the letter out loud for us? Feel free to just go for it, Kate.
Okay. Does anybody else want to read with me? We can pass along. I'll just read it.
No, you read. Go
Go ahead.
All right. Dear John, I hope this doesn't appear to be too formal a beginning. I wanted to make you a page to turn, something to read as well as look at. The first color I thought to send to you was ultramarine, straightforward and strong, a piece of the void. But as Eve Klein has so completely commandeered that particular blue, it seemed more sensible to hold back and perhaps approach it later. Yesterday, I went to a funeral, someone I didn't really know very well. And during the service, before the cremation, I was looking at the flowers, some in vases and some in jars, arranged on the steps before the lectern where the rabbi stood. My eyes were caught by a bunch of carnations directly in front of me. Red and yellow carnations in a single vase, not formally arranged, just put there, a block of red and a block of yellow. The red were the nearest, and I looked at them for part of the service, trying to see how the heads were constructed, how the petals fitted over one another. But the shapes were too delicate, and I was just slightly too far from them to see properly. As I thought I was understanding their shapes, so the precision of the image slipped away, like in a dream when you really need to look at a letter or newspaper. You try hard to read it, but always, in the end, the actual text blurs and escapes. So, for no better reason than the memory of those flowers, I send you this cadmium red. I wonder if these strong memory sensations are what Paul Valéry meant by the stains of the pure instant. Yikes, gorgeous. In a small book a friend lent me called, how do you pronounce that, Julia? Do we know?
I don't know either. Let's make it up.
Anybody know? Called by Icelandic artist Birgir Andrésson, a book of colored squares. There's an essay at the back entitled Light, Matter, I, Mind by G.J. Arneson. Does that mean that color is in the mind? Some philosophers have thought as much, but the idea is neither coherent, nor does it correspond to common sense. Grass doesn't just appear to be green. We cannot separate the greenness of the grass from the grass itself by saying that the grass is in the world, but our perceptions of its color are in the mind. It made me smile when I read a remark by Frank Stella. Thinking about color abstractly hasn't done me any real good. I look forward to hearing from you. Love, John.
Beautiful, Kate. Thank you. So let's start out just by wondering, what is Christie's intention in writing Berger this letter? Literally, what are his intentions?
Share a memory.
To share a memory. Wonderful. What else?
To connect with him.
Connect over what?
Well, connect through words and pictures, I guess.
Great. What else?
To just wander together.
To wonder together. I love that, Annalise. I love that so much because I agree that there's such a strong sense of curiosity. We see this mind on a page, right? Thinking out loud in a way on the page with a friend. And what about these memories? Can we list just a few of the memories that tell us what red means to Christie?
Carnations in a vase.
What about the carnations in a vase? What is happening in that scene?
Well, is that
Catching his eye.
Yeah.
Say that again, I'm sorry.
Julie?
Oh, I was saying, well, he's at a funeral, so he's using them as a way to kind of escape and reflect.
Ooh.
Mm.
And I like that it's this twofold way to escape, but also a way to reflect on the experience of the funeral. Can you tell us where you see that escape and that reflection?
Well, I think in terms of reflection, the details he gives in terms of being that the colors were contrasting, and then the way the heads were constructed were so that he couldn't see the fine details, and the shapes were too delicate. And even his position from them, he was just a little too far to be able to appreciate the fine details. So that made me think reflection. And then the fact he says, as I thought I was understanding their shapes, made me think that he was thinking about that and not thinking about the funeral.
Yeah.
Also, the fact that red is the color of blood, which is the color of life. And he has this idea of the image slipping away like in a dream, that he focuses so intently to try to connect to the physical manifestation of these flowers. And at the same time, it's hinging to how ephemeral life is.
Beautiful, Kate. Trying to connect to the physical so that he can understand the ephemeral, which reminds me, it kind of points back to the blue that's hovering in the background here, the piece of the void that's hovering in the background of the text, kind of, is another way of looking at that, both escaping from it and reflecting on it, which I think was really well put, Julie. What else do you think is really going on in the scene at the funeral when he's looking at the flowers and the petals? Do you see any kind of, philosophies emerging here? What's going on kind of in the corners of the text for him as he looks at these red flowers, red and yellow? What happens when he looks really closely at them?
Goes away, blurs and escapes.
Yeah, great, Magnolia. So he thinks he's understanding their shapes, but the precision of the image slips away like in a dream. When you really need to look at a letter or a newspaper, you try hard to read it, but always in the end, the actual text blurs and escapes. What does that mean in relation to his experience at the funeral?
I think it's kind of metaphorical. I always think that the way he's writing is very metaphorical in terms of this flower that he is meditating upon, if you could say so. And he's using that kind of to understand the reality in a way. And I think that's what a lot of metaphors do. You kind of you dwell upon this other object to kind of refer to life, but it's just easier to do it with the object. So it's easier to do with this color, this red, because that's what happened. It just blurred out of his sight. But you can't really say that about death or about people. It's more, it's a creative way of looking at it.
Awesome. I love how you phrased that. He uses the metaphor to understand reality. It reminds me of that great Emily Dickinson quote, I'm sure everybody here knows, tell the truth, but tell it slant, right? Somehow that slant-wise gets us to the kernel of the truth even more quickly than trying to describe it in a direct way. And yes, as he's looking, you also mentioned the meditation on a flower. I mean, what an interesting thing to do at a funeral, to meditate on a flower. It seems ironic, but he's finding something in this meditation on the flower that it's almost like a little Zen koan to me, that reflects the experience of ephemerality, as Kate put it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm drawn as well by the quote he quoted from Paul Valery, stains of the pure instant. I mean, firstly, it's that he's there's a memory here and the instant here as well, which is kind of fun. But the instant is so kind of instant and nothing else. So just to go on with your point of ephemerality.
Oh, what a great point. It's both memory and pure instant at once. Yeah, that's a great little bunny trail for us to go down. What's happening with time here?
I mean, it's just frozen in this state of reflection because the surface is happening in the background, but this is probably a 10-second window in the scope of that whole service. So, like reading the stains of the pure instance, um, just seems like he's saying, like, this is just pure experience that I'm giving to you.
Oh, lovely. And in that pure experience of an instant, it feels to me like time expands and allows for a lot of these other reflections, like the book that we can't pronounce, Grant. I think you did a better pronunciation of it, Kate, in your reading. Let's talk about that reflection. Let's see. Annalise, would you mind reading that quote for us from Light, Matter, I, Mind by Arneson?
Yeah, sure. Does that mean that color is in the mind? Some philosophers have thought as much, but the idea is neither coherent nor does it correspond to common sense. Grass doesn't just appear to be green. We cannot separate the greenness of the grass from the grass itself by saying that the grass is in the world, but our perceptions of its color are in the mind.
What does that mean to you guys?
I think that's so interesting, given that he sent a patch of red. I mean, the slide you showed us before this, he actually captured redness and physically sent it. And then here he's ruminating on whether color is abstract or real. Can it be separated from the thing it belongs to? It's so interesting.
Great connection.
And also, I just want to say, I'm wearing this bright red dress, which my husband said was hideous. And I'm feeling very gratified to be reading this today.
You look smashing and very on point for today's topic. It was planned. It's like it was planned. Yeah, I like that. There's a material reality to the red that it's underscored by the fact that he's sending the actual swatch of red in the letter, a material version of it. This is not an idea. This is a thing that has ideas in it. It makes me think of color as not an abstract, but as a container, you know? What other philosophies, I guess, for lack of a better word, do you think that Christy has about really anything, life, color, ephemerality, that you can see here in this letter? What deeper understandings or meanings are floating in the background here?
Well, I guess when he says that it makes him smile when he read Frank Stella's remark about looking at color abstractly, that hadn't done him any good. You know, I wondered, did he agree with him, or did he feel, you know, I get the feeling that he probably agreed with him.
Does anybody else see it differently, or does everybody think that he agrees? Oh, go ahead. Yeah.
Marky just is somebody commenting.
No, sorry, I was just kind of pondering a thought, but it's okay.
I mean, then again, you wonder, I mean, he is an artist. He looks at things, you know, beyond the mere physical material. So maybe he disagrees. You know,
Or
you could read it both
I
ways.
think
Maybe he likes the idea of abstract, color being abstract.
the fact that it's the last thing he says before I look forward to hearing from you is kind of like, I'm looking forward to hearing what you think about that too. And let's start this book of this discussion.
Right?
And is he
Exactly.
the artist who did is he the artist? He's the artist, isn't he? That does all the block colors.
Yes, he's the
Yeah?
visual artist. That's
Painting.
right. You're right.
Okay, so he probably
Yeah.
does like abstract art then, and that he probably does think of color in an abstract way.
I think he's kind of smirking, not smiling.
Smirking. Yeah.
Ooh,
Yeah.
You know?
great word. Great word.
Yeah.
I get the sense too, there's something funny here. It made me smile when I read this.
Yeah.
Even the way that he begins, I hope this doesn't appear to be too formal a beginning. You know, there's something easy and real and trying to get to the grit, trying to get to the raw, and humor's a part of it, I think. I hear that smirk there too. And I also love the idea that what he's really doing here is not closing down the conversation by providing an answer, but opening up the conversation by proposing a question. I look forward to hearing from you. That was a great point, Anna, and it harkens back to what Annalise said at the beginning about wondering and curiosity here. So we're going to look at...
Can I just say, just on that note, Julia, that that's really interesting and really important from the point of view of having conversation, particularly with the patient, but equally with anybody. I mean, the whole idea of not closing somebody down, but keeping the curiosity and attentive listening in the hope that we will keep the conversation going and keep it open.
Yes, I love that. Great application to healthcare here. I often get just so fascinated by texts that I'm like, I can't wait to talk about them, but I'm like, I wonder how we're going to relate it back. And it always finds a way to relate back to human connection and to care. So thank you so much for that. So, oh, please.
I really like the second sentence where he just says, I wanted to make you a page to turn.
Yes.
Read as well as look at, which, kind of sets the intention, and for everybody, for everyone who's reading it to really stop and say, oh, this is more meaningful. This is something different, so what, depending upon, your own experiences, how you're going to look at it, or we're all looking at it differently and experiencing it, and having this discussion. So I really like that second sentence.
Great points, Magnolia.
Mm-hmm.
It makes me think, as he's saying, I wanted to make you a page to turn, something to read as well as to look at. It makes me think he wants you to feel it in your body, not just something to ponder in your head. There's a real strong sense of embodiment here. And it also, in a strange way, I think makes me think of, he wants him to feel with him, in a way that allows for differences of perspective, but also aims for a sharing of a truth. And that's actually a really nice segue to the letter that we're going to read back now, the reply. All right. So I know this is not easy to see and you can't even see all the words. Like I said, I'm experimenting with a new platform today. So I'm going to be a storyteller today and I'm going to read you this letter back. I think it's important to try to read along if you can because of all the interesting things that Berger is doing with color and shapes just in this reply. Red is not usually innocent. Look at this one. But the red you sent me is. It's the red of childhood, a pretend red, or the red of young eyelids shut tight, the red you saw when you did that. As I look at it, I wonder what will happen when it grows older. Maybe it won't be red anymore at all. My guess is that maybe it will become black. Whereas this far from innocent red was maybe white when it was young. White with a touch of green, like apple blossom when it unfolds. Now it's the heaviest red in the world. No bird could fly near it. Perhaps my favorite red is Caravaggio's. He uses it in painting after painting. The death of the Virgin in the Louvre, for example. The red by which you swear to love forever. The red whose father is the knife. The red which Naguib Mahfouz was thinking about in Cairo when he wrote, "The beloved may absent herself from existence, but love does not." I want to see whether I can turn this heavy one into Caravaggio's red. Look, it's not so heavy now, but it's passionless. Perhaps no red can have that passion unless a body has been painted near it or inside it. Could it be that red is the one color that is continually asking for a body? Give my special love at this moment to Genevieve. What does red mean to Berger here?
So many things.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Let's start a list.
Do you want us to call out things for the list, or should we make our own on our piece of paper?
Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you for that clarification. Nope, just shout them out.
Okay. The opposite of innocence.
Nice. What else? Let's have everybody say at least one thing.
Childhood.
Childhood for Berger or Christy? And what kind of childhood for, I agree, I agree. What kind of childhood here?
A playful pretend one.
Nice.
Yeah. Primary red.
What else?
It's a super general, but life based on the question at the end.
You said it's what but alive? I'm sorry, I didn't catch it.
Sorry, super general, but life just
Oh,
based
life.
off the question at the end.
Life.
Yeah.
I like that. Yeah. What else?
Very obvious, but red is love, and it could be a love or love as a feeling.
Mm-hmm.
Talks about passion and passionless and heaviness. Little cut off.
Passion and heaviness. What does
Maybe
this
change.
Ooh, change. Yeah, I think that relates to life too.
Changeable.
Change and
Changeable, yeah.
changeable.
It has ages.
Because he said it might become
Yeah.
black, it might be green, you know, it might have a touch of green, it might even be white, I think, did he say? I can't really read the middle page very well,
It's
but
okay, no one can.
Yeah. Yes, it has ages and it has touches of other colors in it too. How interesting to see a color through a painter's eyes who knows by mixing colors what goes into creating what we see as just flat and primary actually has layers, or it has admixtures to create it, right? So interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, like the apple blossom. That's
Yeah.
morphing. Huh. Unfolds.
Yes, the apple blossom that's morphing. And that image is contrasted with, so we have, I'm cheating, I'm reading a much easier text version of this. With white with a touch of green, like apple blossom when it unfolds. Now it's the heaviest red in the world. No bird could fly near it. So the image of the apple blossom contrasted with the bird that can't even fly near it now. What do you guys make of the contrast there?
Dramatic.
Mm-hmm.
This is an adjective.
It makes me think of this line from the previous letter where he was talking about the difference between grass being something concrete and then the color green being the perception of it.
Mm-hmm.
So the bird's perception of the red is that it's so intense that you can't come near it. I feel like it's in some way answering to that quote.
Very interesting. So, and I have birds, I have chickens, and I do know that red is not their favorite color. In fact, I had a chicken who was getting bullied, and I had to get her an anti-bullying vest, and it was this bright red little life jacket. It was the most precious thing in the world. It
Amazing.
kept the other chickens off of her. But yeah, so in a way, this is harkening back to the idea between, color as, a reality and that has a material existence, and one that is just based on perception. Really nice.
It's kind of personal experience.
Mm-hmm.
it also seems to have weight. You know, it can be heavy or light. It's a pretty abstract idea, but
Yeah.
I'm thinking about synesthesia and the way that people who experience synesthesia taste color or feel sounds, and the boundaries of senses are, there's a cross pollination. Just these two men and how rich and palpable color is for them. I'm just kind of in shock reading these two letters here today, wondering about how much I am impacted by color without even knowing it. Or even Catherine and Anna, I can't help but notice how beautifully your colors, it's like you guys got consultants and said, how can we look gorgeous today on Zoom? The colors of the headband and the painting and your sweater and the wall and the the fabric behind you. It just suddenly
I'm in my PJs, Kate. I need to wash my hair. That's why I have headbands on. Thank you, though.
I am also fascinated by color as well, in terms of, I have a very good friend, and she's struggling at the moment, but she wears the most fabulous colors all the time. Like, her mother was a painter, her family are all painters and teachers, and even in her darkest moments, she wears really fabulous blues and greens and scarves with yellow in it, and a yellow beret. And so I just love the idea that color can be so kind of integral to our how we feel, even.
It's
Emotional and integral. I love those words, because we think of color as elemental, or at least I typically do. I think of it as a kind of a flat concept, when really, as you're all saying, there's so much depth here and so much emotion that's carried with it. I'm going to ask an unfair question, just because I don't think that there is an answer, but maybe we could brainstorm together. What is color?
Shout out or think about it more? Or whatever.
Blurt it out. Whatever comes to mind.
I think color is energy. I could say more, but I'll leave it there.
Great. Let's have everybody chime in.
Yeah.
What is color to you?
I think, as evident, even not just here, but I think color tells a story.
Yeah.
And,
Really good.
and it's definitely emotional, and we relate to color, like that might just be a square on the page, but then it evokes the emotion and the memories of everywhere in our life experience. We may have experienced that same color, in whether it's in nature or in someone else's art, or the red, whether it's red, white, and blue, the colors of a flag. I mean, they're just they tell a story, and they evoke so much emotion. When I used to be a graphic designer, color was the thing I spent the most time on. I would spend days just on color to get it all right, because I always knew the rest would fall into place with typography and whatever, but it was always just the having that color palette just right because of the story that it tells, and it really is amazing just how many stories they've come up with in just this short letter.
I really like that it tells a story. It's important. It's crucial to telling a story. Yeah.
Have you ever seen those where when the colorblind put the glasses on?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Beautiful. What else do you guys notice about color here? What is color?
Not necessarily here, but I feel like color gives us a way to distinguish between different things.
Yeah.
To be able to tell one flower from another, or one bird from another. It gives us a descriptor or something distinctive.
That's interesting, Julie, because I was just thinking, I was working on a manuscript of a writer once, and I had this brainwave to color code different kinds of comments that I was making. And I made a key and all, and he got back to me and he said, I have an issue because I'm colorblind. And so what I thought was creating depth and a kind of a shorthand for him to see connections among comments and themes. Nothing at all for him. This
His section of it was all the same.
his section of it was all the same, exactly.
Huh.
Yeah. Oh, please.
No, I was just gonna. I don't want to segue at all, but just on the colorblind, I had a good friend in school who was colorblind, and he'd put on the glasses. Sorry, no, he was dyslexic, but he put on the special glasses to make him read better. But they were blue, and he couldn't see red. So every time he put on the glasses to work and write, he couldn't see
Oh,
red.
fascinating.
And my French teacher hated it. So, and he really pissed him off because he couldn't see red. And he might say at the very end of him writing out all these terms, like, I can't see that. I can't see any of that because I can't see red. And then he'd be really, it's just very funny. So good memories. You wouldn't be able to read any of this.
I think it's really a really powerful testament to the way that we all experience the world in fundamentally different ways, even down to the level of the way we see colors, you know? So here we're talking, both of our writers are talking about the color red, but they see these reds differently. Look at this first red. This is the playful red, the childhood red, the red of innocence, as Berger calls it. And then this is this red of depth and love, whose father is the knife. The red where the beloved is absent, but love persists. You know, it's gotten darker, right? And yet it's the same red that they're talking about, or at least, you know, versions of this red. There's a whole lifespan in it. And it makes me think, you know, Magnolia was saying that color tells a story. So in that sense, it enjoins. But as Julie's saying, it also separates and distinguishes us from one another. So even as these two writers are aiming to help each other understand what they feel like when they see a certain thing, they're also admitting in subtle ways that distance that, you know, that experience naturally gives us. You know, it's to me a kind of honoring of the fact that you'll never really know how somebody sees something else, even as it's our ethical imperative to try, you know.
No, go ahead, Julia.
Go for it.
Well, that's connecting to me for also the different ways that people in different cultures, the different attributions of people in different cultures to different colors. So that white means something in one color, and you know, red means a different thing in that same color from culture. Yeah, I've lost my words. Do y'all understand what I'm trying to say?
100%. Yes.
Yeah.
What white mean, you know, white is a wedding dress in the United States, but red is the color of marriage in China, I believe. And that we think of colors, or like he saw red, or I'm green with envy, or he's a lily-livered, yellow-livered, whatever. We associate colors with certain feelings, but that's culturally determined somehow. I don't know what that means. I'm just thinking about it in relation to what you just said, Julia.
This is a topic that I really love, so if you don't mind me jumping off of that.
Please.
The way that I'm summarizing this in my mind is that color is context. And it's interesting because everything we're saying is kind of rebutting what John Christie said in the first letter about how the grass cannot be separated from greenness, and like his accompanying smirk as he like agreed with that. But it's kind of rebutting that to some extent because color is so incredibly determined by our culture and our like physical well-being, like, you know, color blindness and whatever, and it holds such contrasting emotions for different people that there's no way that it can be inseparable from the thing that it's like bound to. Like, sure, things like grass can always be green, but like the idea that blue is a calming color, like, is that something that can be cross-cultural, and is that inseparable from like the calmness, just the color of blue?
Brilliant, Annalise. Brilliant. Yeah, so now we're getting a different perspective on that same question that was opened at the beginning. It makes me think a little bit of our box here. You know, the box that looks to me like a black square and a brown square around the red. And it's surrounded by this passage. Look, it's not so heavy now, but it's passionless. Perhaps no red can have that passion unless a body has been painted near it or inside it. Could it be that red is the one color that is continually asking for a body? And then he, of course, lands with, give my special love at this moment to Genevieve. What does that sentence tell us about color and embodiment and color as an abstract or color as real physical material that can't be separated from the material itself?
Could I ask you to read that one more time, Julia? Because my screen has it cut off a little bit.
Sure, no problem. I have this page up that you guys can actually read. I just feel like it's good to see the color too, but maybe we'll switch back and forth here. Look, it's not so heavy now, but it's passionless. Perhaps no red can have that passion unless a body has been painted near it or inside it. Could it be that red is the one color that is continually asking for a body? Give my special love at this moment to Genevieve. And I'll go back now. So this is what he does, this box, to try to make it not so heavy now. But does it work?
No.
No. Why not?
Red's meant to be free and everywhere.
Mm-hmm. It's passionless now.
Yeah.
So maybe it does work. Maybe it is less heavy, but then it's also not as meaningful.
Well, you think about the way flowers are when you just have, one plant versus when they're planted en masse, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when you think of all 3 pages spread out like that, that is a lot of red, and it is heavy, and it is a lot of passion, and it is speaking more volume than just the one small square.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I'm
so,
also
please.
Greater in numbers, yeah.
just also thinking about the first letter, the fact that this discussion of red came out of a funeral, and I see that black square around the red, and I think of a coffin containing it, and that the red has gone somehow dead, or there's less passion in it for being surrounded. It's less alive. It's not embodied anymore.
Yeah.
And the rest of these reds they embody the whole page, but here the red is boxed off.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And also, I think the border around, when it's got the white around it, which is more of a negative space, it's, different than having that black.
Yeah.
Because the black is the heavy there.
Yeah. Mm.
As you guys are talking, I'm starting to think maybe this is the real meat of the reply to the question, that yes, we can think about, color in the abstract. We can try to make it what we want, but at the same time, we lose that sense of our own personal experience with it, the things that we feel through our bodies. It almost, to me, seems like he agrees now with with Christy. I don't know, or maybe he just fine tunes it a little bit. He's saying, maybe it's not just your body that experiences this, but it requires a body to experience it. Yes, it is real, but we also have multiple different ways of feeling this in our bodies. Mm-hmm. Does that make any sense? What do you guys think is his philosophy kind of about how color and reality merge here?
I got the impression just with the box, because when it was first read, that he read as an READ, not the color, that he put it in a box. It was kind of like he put it in his cage, he kind of put it away and took away its passion.
Mm-hmm.
but then he's like, oh, but it didn't work. And I think it kind of gave me this kind of like, color is so much more powerful than even like you trying to fix it or make it work for you. It's kind of, it penetrates beyond what you kind of want it to. It's just, unless you're colorblind, but it's kind of, you have no, you can't control. Yeah, like kind of, I'm not sure if what we're looking at is you can't really control how you associate color with whatever, and you certainly can't control how you change your mind about color. Especially when he mentions childhood and these very deep things that they've also mentioned too, like they're deeply rooted. But you can't hide it and you can't cage it. You have to let it kind of.
Yeah.
I don't know where I'm going with that, but just.
Yeah, I agree. It seeps out, and it seeps out from self to other as well. As Magnolia was pointing out, this is a color that tells a story, and I really love that we land on that line that brings us back to relationship. He's not talking about passion writ large. He's talking about Genevieve, right? Give my special love to Genevieve, like the one that you are passionate about. Like there's an invitation here to relationship as well at the end.
Following on from that, I think it does seem that he realizes that color is kind of boundless and kind of indefinable maybe at the end of the day, and it's so personal that its meaning is different to each individual and could be different at different times as well.
Beautiful, guys. Are there any last thoughts on the philosophy of color before we move on to a little reflective writing assignment?
I just wanted to point out quickly that he wrote Genevieve's name in the red that he used when he was talking about Caravaggio's red and the red of love, which I think is really lovely. And the other thing was just the beloved may absent herself from existence, but love does not. And that kind of is drawing back to Christy when he's talking about the funeral, and like carrying on that reflection for him that like somebody has died, but like there is still whatever they left behind them, like that's still there. And I thought that was really cool.
Love stays. I love that. And you're also making me notice too that this first paragraph about the childhood red is in white too. So that's a part, it seems to be a part of that kind of love, that's retained somehow, even in that special love that he puts in white at the end. That childhood love.
I like the space that he puts, when he's talking about closing your eyes. And it's like he's giving you a moment to actually do that.
Yeah.
Before he says, as I look at it.
Yeah.
Just like, it's like he's basically inviting you to do that. Like close your eyes and see the red through your eyelids, before he like goes on again. I like that.
Yeah, I really like that too.
Without saying a word, just the space.
Yeah.
Along those lines, I feel like in the first letter, he said, I wanted to give you something to turn the page. And then here in his response, he said, look, and then you have to turn the page to see what you want to look at.
Mm-hmm.
That was kind of a playful way to respond.
Yeah.
Great observations.
I was gonna just, sorry, I know we're kind of moving on, but the color white as well here. And then I think we're going on about the specific text, the specific words that are written in different colors. The white seems like it's just as powerful as the red. And then every time you're talking about the red as a very saturating, deep and heavy thing, it's practically, it's kind of brown and black, which kind of makes it harder to read the page, and it's a bit more difficult and makes the red a bit more powerful. But the white, and what he says in the white, it's so clear and it's so kind of popping and contrasting in a way that it's brighter and it's just as powerful as this penetrating red that takes over sometimes. He's kind of saying I know he's talking about red as a good thing here. I'm kind of losing my what I was going to say here, but something about the white is stronger than the black amongst the dark colors amongst the red.
White's kind of innocent.
The white is innocent, yeah, and he's saying nice things in the white. Especially all the words are good words.
Yeah. It reminds me a little bit of what Julie said earlier about contrast, that color At the same time, it, you know, is a story that enjoins. It's also something that distinguishes one thing from another and allows us to appreciate difference, you know? So rather than putting like a value or a moral imperative on the colors as, you know, white is good, black is bad, it just highlights to me difference, you know? And differences that, as we've already discussed, have a lot of, even within those obvious differences, we even see multitudes more differences just by seeing them through the virtue of our own lenses, whether those are cultural lenses or biological lenses. Even in, I know we've talked a little bit about color blindness today. I've also learned recently that the cones in our eyes, you know, we have rods and cones. The rods pick up light and dark, the cones pick up color. Some scientists believe that the cones in our eyes are attuned in different ways. So what I see as one color, you may see as something completely different. So even if we can agree on colors, we might be seeing them a little bit differently, which is such a reflection to me on storytelling and healthcare and the ethics of storytelling and healthcare. Even as we aim to understand, we also have to appreciate we'll never be able to see the world through somebody's eyes. Yeah, so if you guys don't mind, let's move on. I realized too late in this new presenter mode, I can't see the time, so I haven't really been keeping too close of an eye on it. I hope that you guys are able to stick with me for a short 5-minute reflective writing activity, followed by a 10-minute exchange. Does everybody have 15 more minutes to spend? Great. Wonderful. Okay, good. I would have brought my phone in had I known I couldn't see. So, all right. It's all a big technology experiment lately. All right. So everybody bring out a pen and paper. And I'm going to set a timer of some kind here. I'm going to take us out of screen share mode so that I can see all your beautiful faces and the clock. Oops. All right. So everybody has a pen and a piece of paper. I'm going to give you 5 minutes to write. You're just going to brain dump on the page. Don't make it sound pretty. In fact, I invite you just to write badly. Get words out on the page. There's no judgment here. We will be sharing this with a partner. So I know oftentimes things come up when you're writing that you don't want to share with your partner. That's absolutely fine. I have a backup plan just in case that happens. So truly treat this like an experiment. I like to say writing is a way of figuring out what you didn't know you already knew. So let this be a true experiment. In this 5-minute writing, we are going to choose a color or something else like it, like a shape, a number, maybe even a bone. I told you guys at the beginning, this book was originally recommended to me by a massage mentor of mine who's working on a correspondence of artwork with a friend just about bones. They send a letter back and forth about the humerus. They send a letter back and forth about the metatarsals. Choose something like that is deceptively basic to your understanding of the world, a color, a shape, a number, a bone, something like that. Write a letter to your partner and help them feel what it makes you feel. Got it? Any questions? All right, let's get writing. 5 minutes. All right, friends, just another few seconds. Finish up your last thoughts. All right, friends. So in the service of time, usually we read one aloud together, but since we're running a little tight on time, I know a lot of people here have attended class before. I'm going to break you into breakout rooms and just let you guys run your own breakout rooms. The questions I'd like you to consider. Well, first, let me say a little etiquette around sharing your writing and around listening to writing. If you are sharing your writing, if you are comfortable sharing your writing with your partner, don't preface. There's no need to say how much you meant to say or how it should have been written differently or how you ran out of time. Just read the words exactly as they are on the page. I promise they are always already perfect. If you're not comfortable sharing what you've written, totally cool too. Instead, I invite you to share with your partner about the experience of writing something so vulnerable. As a listener, you're going to listen with the same attention to detail that we gave Berger and Christy. You're going to notice words, phrases, images that stand out to you. You'll write them down as you hear them and you'll reflect them back to your partner. A great way to begin as a reflection is just to say, here's what I heard you say, here's what I think I heard you say, and then reflect on it from there. You might also consider how is this person's reflection like or unlike the letter exchanges we saw from Berger and Christie, and perhaps how does it help you understand it in a new way? Does that all make sense? Great. I'm going to try to create breakout rooms. This is always my downfall. So let's see if I can assign. Catherine and Anna, I'm going to try to just keep you guys in your, you guys can share together so that we don't get 3 people in one breakout room. And then, well, I'm lying actually. I'm gonna put you in a breakout room with Julie, and you 3 can share because we're at an odd number today. I will be available on chat. If you guys have any questions, pop it in the chat. We're going to have 5 minutes to exchange. I'm going to let you guys run the timing, but I'll put a little note in the chat box when it's time to switch. So if you're in a dyad, most of us are going to be in 2 people rooms. Oh, it looks like we had 1 person fall off. So that means, Julie, I'm going to move you. So now, Catherine and Anna, you are in your own breakout room. So it'll just be the 2 of you. So we'll have 2 people in each room. All right, so you'll have 5 minutes each. So after 5 minutes you'll read, your partner will respond. Then you'll set the timer for another 5 minutes. Your partner will read and you will respond. Cool? All right, we're gonna open all rooms. Hi. How you guys doing?
That was
Good.
fun doing
That
it
was-
together.
Good.
Yeah, that was good.
Well, I know you. This is old news for you, Anna, because you pretty much already did this reflection on the color yellow. So
Yeah, I didn't do. Yeah, I did do
Did something
yellow. But I did gold. No, I did another color, but I didn't do the same thing. I just like
cool.
yellow. So
That's great. Isn't it neat how like we bring a different self to the story every time we tell it?
Yeah.
We'll
Yeah,
we'll wait.
you can't repeat yourself.
Right? Yeah. All right. I think we've got everybody back now. So I know everybody. Our time is limited, so I'll just ask one person from each group to share something they learned by listening to their partner. Feel free to just volunteer yourself.
All right, I'll go.
Great.
The messaging that we ended up discussing was about connection, and the idea that when we're not facing one another, we might be reaching for something. I don't know. Do you want to share your picture really quick while I'm talking, just so they know what I'm talking about? Your 7 and your F.
I wrote about the letters, the number 7.
Yeah.
And so this is 7 and F when they're opposed, they look like mirror opposites. But then when you put them in facing one another, they look like people reaching for one another. And when you actually overlap them, they create the letter A. I don't know how I came up. Anyway.
So the idea that when we're
Oh, that's fun.
not facing one another, right, that there can be disappointment or disconnection. And then by facing one another, we have more of a chance to connect and come together like the A. So I really liked that.
I love that. Yeah.
Yeah.
It reminds me of the whole epistolary form that we've been talking about, that the reaching that's inherent in letter writing. I really love that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Does somebody from another group want to share?
Julie and I were talking about, with hers, we were talking about the color yellow, which was really cool. But she had a really, like, when she was talking about it and like the things she'd written about, she noted like all the different places that yellow were just all around her, because it was a comforting and refreshing color to her. And just this idea that she had no idea where the love for it came from. It was just there. So we were discussing, like, it doesn't have to necessarily come from anywhere. It's valuable because it exists there. And I thought it was really cool seeing the imagery of the color yellow all around her and how it influences her.
Makes me think of that line about love, like even when the beloved goes, you know, the love stays. Like there's something in that yellow that just stays, you know, as embodied as it is in her surroundings and how it makes her feel. There's something that just is about it. I love that. Great. What about you, Catherine and Anna?
Well, maybe will I get Anna to read hers? Do you mind? Are we reading it again?
Oh.
Okay, no. Okay, well, Anna wrote about a golden leaf. You know, like a leaf that is kind of reaching the end of its life on a tree before it's plucked from the tree, and the colors it goes through, you know, from green to autumn colors, and then finally to a golden color, and how beautiful that is, and how it was kind of a little reflection on, it was like a metaphor for life and end of life, I guess. Anna, would that be fair?
Yeah.
And you know, it made me think of what we describe as the golden years for people, you know, who are the end of life and golden wedding anniversary, and you know, it makes me think of such a wealth of you know, what did I say, Anna? It was kind of like just there's such a depth and a wealth of meaning to it, and it's so valuable, you know, gold and golden, and it's like a metaphor for life at the end.
Yeah.
Very nice.
It feels like a variation on the life cycle of red that we saw, you know, following us from childhood to you know, those darker reds as we get older. And I like the addition though of its value, that there's something really valuable about that gold, something earned over time. Not, and in that sense, it's kind of different from the way that Berger frames it as a kind of a darkening, you know, a loss of whatever is the bright red of childhood. This is increasing in value as it changes. I really like that. Thank you guys so much. I'm going to close up just by asking one word from each person here. After all this listening and reflecting, how do you feel?
Red.
Colorful.
Bright.
Yes.
Great.
Multicolored.
Yeah.
Happy.
Grounded.
Grounded. Nice.
Being thoughtful.
Yeah.
What about you, Julia?
Is that everybody?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. How do I feel? I like the idea of thoughtful. I feel attentive. I feel curious. I feel like I'm going to be looking much more closely at the things that I take for granted every day, things that are so simple to the way I see that I don't actually see them. So I'm going to leave this with that curiosity. So thank you guys so much for this wonderful workshop. If you would like to continue writing these letters to anybody in this group, just post your email address in the chat box and I'll partner you with somebody and you can keep the conversations going even outside this class. No obligation, just opportunity. Feel free to pop it in there. Thank you all so much. We will be doing this again next month. I'll send out the dates soon for our next program. If you want to stick around and talk or ask any questions, I welcome that as well. Thank you all so much for joining this time. I'll see you all next month.
Thanks.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Julia. So beautiful.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kate.
Yeah. Gorgeous, gorgeous.
Anna,
Julia,
please.
can you share the readings or the name of the book?
I can. I will warn you that this
It's
book
very expensive.
We tried
it's
to get
very
it.
expensive.
Oh my God, we tried to get it, and it was.
It's like
It took me a
325.
year,
Yeah.
one whole year to find a copy of this book that didn't cost an arm and a leg, and it still cost, I think, around $100.
Wow.
But I was so determined, but it's beautiful. It's this gorgeous. I don't know if you can see. It's got these.
It's like an art book.
Yeah, it's an art book. It's got these fold-out pages, meditations on the
Oh my
color black.
God.
My favorite part of the book so far is its meditation on darkness and different kinds of dark. It's just gorgeous. I think it's worth it, but you kind of have to keep an eye on eBay. So yeah, it is a tough one to find. If you want to follow up on Berger, I've been reading his book on landscapes. So he's an art critic, and if you just want to dive into some cool paintings, he's a great person to do it with because he always brings us back to the material conditions from which art arises. So I recommend Landscapes with John Berger. It's much more affordable. But I will send you guys via email the presentation from today if you want to see the pictures. And if you want me to take a picture of anything else in here, just let me know and I'll send it your way that way too.
Thank you.
And what's the name of the book one more time?
Oh, best title ever. I Send You This Cadmium Red.
Thank you.
My pleasure, y'all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Goodbye, all.
Bye.
Thank you so much. Fabulous.
Bye,
Amazing.
darling.
Bye-bye.